Professor Vishwa, Menon, founding member of National Disaster Management Authority.
Yeah.
Finally, we have with us Shri Anil Raj Rai, who is the Relief Commissioner cum Secretary of Land Revenue and Disaster Management Authority, Government, Sikkim. Impacting the world. And what better place to
Snikabangavilokini Bhagavati Mandasmita Srimukhi Vatsalyamrita Varshini Sumaduram Sankirtana Lapini Shyamangi Madhusita Suktim Amrita Nandatika Ishwari.
thank you all and thank you to me. We will now have the lamp lighting ceremony, and ladies and gentlemen, to do the honors, may I please request the dignitaries on the dais, led by the honorable ministers, to kindly join for the lamp lighting ceremony. Thank you for the honors. Let's have a round of applause, please. It is my pleasure to introduce Professor Vinod Menon for the welcome address. Professor Vinod Menon is the International Coordinator for Sustainable and Resilient Communities Working Group under C20. He is a founding member of the National Disaster Management Authority, India. He worked in the fields of disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and public policy analysis. In 2005, he was nominated by the Prime Minister and NDMA with the Union Minister. May I invite Professor Vinod Menon to the podium to deliver the welcome address.
Distinguished delegates, Honorable Minister Sri Uganda-India, Honorable Minister Land Revenue and Disaster Management, Government of Sikkim, Mr. M.N. Sherpa, the Honorable Minister of Power, Government of Sikkim, Her Excellency Ms. Joyce Kakuramasi Ikapuda, High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Mr. Mustafa Jawara, Ambassador of Gambia, and Mr. Anurag, Secretary in the Land Revenue and Disaster Management Government of Sikkim, very distinguished delegates from India and from the G20 member countries and from the invited guest countries, and very distinguished participants attending to this session at the Conclave from many countries abroad, which is being live streamed because the Conclave inaugural ceremony is being live streamed, and so many people are attending it online. So I'm very happy to welcome the dignitaries on the dais and also the distinguished delegates who have come from different parts of the world. And we're very happy that we have so many distinguished delegates who are participating, who are invited speakers, and who are also delegates participating in many of the working sessions, plenary sessions, and also the breakout sessions and the training programs which we have organized. We want to welcome everybody, including the Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority officials, officials of the government of Sikkim, and friends from the media, and all the people who made this event a very memorable occasion. Thank you very much. Welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your brief and warm welcome note. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to introduce the chair of C20, world-renowned spiritual leader and humanitarian, Sadhguru Mata Amrita Anandamayi Devi, or lovingly called Amma. Amma is known for her selfless love and compassion toward all beings. Her entire life has been dedicated to alleviating the pain of the poor and those suffering physically and emotionally. Amma is the founder of the Mata Amrita Anandamayi Math, leading its vast area of humanitarian programs, and as the Chancellor of Math's multi-campus deemed university, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Let us get inspired through a video message about Amma.
Harmoniously binding all life. This ancient worldview is deeply
the C20 are moving forward. For too long, the world has witnessed violent conflicts in the name of race, religion, and cultural and political differences. Civil society groups have to strive to rise above such divisive politics. They have to dialogue with a focus of remembering that the world indeed is one big family. The projects launched by the Mata Amritanandamayi Mutt have always been in response to the needs of the hour. For example, its environmental program, Amala Bharatam, focused on cleanliness campaigns and creating awareness of hygiene. Children were taught to carry handkerchiefs to stop spitting on the ground. It was really a decade later, during the days of the pandemic, that we saw the urgency of such programs. Amma's relief and rehabilitation projects, in the wake of natural disasters, have brought hope to the world, drying the tears of the affected when earthquakes, tsunamis, and other such tragedies have devastated lives. In such situations, Amma's response has always been swift, with various groups of devotees and volunteers completing reconstruction of homes in record time. Inspired by the loving help they received in their hours of need, many people who have benefited from Amma's outreach programs have gone on to volunteer to help others undergoing similar tragedies in the future. This is a proof of the power of love to bring seemingly disparate groups of people together. Amma's views on gender equality have challenged traditional and conservative concepts. She has revolutionized antiquated custom by which women She has paved the way for many women to learn Vedic chanting and to learn to perform religious rituals. These were things often previously reserved for men alone. Moreover, Amma has even inducted women as temple priests. In Amma's own words, in reality, God is neither male or female. But if we are forced to choose, then it makes more sense for God to be female, because he is contained in she. In Amma's view, men and women are not meant to compete with each other. Rather, they are to complement one another, like the two wings of a bird. Amma's worldview is founded in her love for all creation. It is not just about addressing gender's inequality, but about addressing all kinds of limitation and marginalization. Some people are denied the opportunity to lead a dignified life due to mental, physical, and genetic disabilities. With this in mind, Amma has devised and implemented many programs for their welfare and rehabilitation. Helping the powerless and helpless is always in the center of Amma's heart. Amma has built an empire of love. She reaches out to all sections of people across the world, embracing the underprivileged and marginalized. She has successfully implemented innumerable social upliftment programs all over the world. Amma has introduced financial assistance programs to supplement the income of impoverished people. She has started drives to provide fresh drinking water, skill training projects, programs to generate employment, started self-help groups to financially support women's groups, welfare projects for socially backward communities, education schemes, programs to preserve the culture of indigenous populations, orphanages, old age homes, care homes, hospital networks, women empowerment programs, initiatives to ensure the rights of transgender communities. The list goes on. It is Amma's view that it is not enough to give a voice to the voiceless. We also have to listen to them. We have to implement projects that will improve their quality of life. Amma's compassion for marginalized society is possible to access a large spectrum and aid projects. The institute created by Amma has a testimony to her passion for business. Amrita Institute in Kochi, Kerala, and in Faridabad, Haryana, provides advanced treatment to all sections of society. These hospitals are a manifestation of Amma's concern for society. The deemed university, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, is a center of learning and research, having a radical positive influence on Indian education. Its ethos is education both for life and livelihood. Amma wants each of us to shine in the light of knowledge and help each other to shine therein as well. Amma has addressed many international summits aimed at world peace. Her words enlighten these global meetings. Her love unifies diverse and scattered people across the world. She is striving to usher in a world of harmony, security, and progress. She is catalyzing a sea of change in the world, from a state of estrangement and alienation to one of binding oneness. Let there be love, peace, happiness, and harmony. May our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom of all beings. This is Amma's prayer.
I sincerely hope that we take to heart these pearls of wisdom and utilize them as inspiration to forward Amma's C20 vision. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce Ambassador Vijay Namher, Principal Coordinator. He is joining us online today. Ambassador Vijay Namher is one of India's most distinguished and finest diplomats, having represented India as an ambassador in Afghanistan, Malaysia, China, Pakistan, and then the United Nations. He was also the Deputy National Security Advisor to the Government of India and head of the National Security Council Secretariat after his stint as a diplomat. We look forward to your introduction to C20 India 2023. Over to you, sir.
The outset, pay my humble salutations to Mata Amritanandamayi Devi, Amma, Her Holiness, whose gracious aura is pervading this proceedings. Let me also convey my salutations to Puja Swami Amrita Swarupananda Puri Ji, Your Excellency Kunga Nima Lepcha, Honorable Minister of Land Revenue and Disaster Management of Sikkim, Your Excellency High Commissioner Joyce Kikafunda, High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda, Distinguished Minister of Power, Your Excellency the Ambassador of Gambia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am most honored to participate today at this high-level conclave in Sikkim of the Working Group on Sustainable and Resilient Communities. I am sorry I am not able to participate in person today. For Amma, as chair of the C20, the ideal vision of civil society is where the state, society, family, and the individual all work in harmony and unison. Her approach exemplifies the motto of One Earth, One Family, One Future, which is the guiding principle of India's presidency of the G20. Over the past months, the SRC Working Group has held a series of webinars and dialogues on net zero emission management, sustainability, compassionate approaches to governance, and the role of technology in developing resilient infrastructure. While following an evidence-based approach to policy, it is also guided by the C20 motto, "You are the light." The onslaught of climate change has placed many species of life on our planet close to extinction and gravely threatens the entire ecosystems across the globe. Around 80% of the greenhouse gas emissions annually of around 50 billion tons carbon equivalent are from G20 countries. Unless we take collective action to tackle this crisis, our very survival is under threat. This remains of critical urgency, and there is much work to be done to ensure sustainable change. Our Prime Minister recognized this imperative when he proactively accepted a commitment for India to go net zero by 2070. Globally, more urgent proactive action needs to be taken by governments as well as multi-stakeholder partnerships between civil societies to build long-term solutions, provide synergistic research, and evolve relevant policy formulations. The UN Secretary General, when launching the IPCC synthesis report in March this year, had called for a quantum leap in climate action, and he even proposed an acceleration agenda to fast forward efforts to meet global net zero deadlines. But the action of OECD countries on phasing out coal seems to have resulted in pushing such industries into other parts of the world or in buying junk carbon offsets to make big companies carbon neutral in name. Such virtue signaling may make everyone feel good, but doesn't produce the outcomes desired by all for a better environment for our children. In the aftermath of the Ukraine conflict, even this has actually been given up to a large extent. We hope the developed world will take seriously the UN Secretary General's call on G20 members to pool their resources and scientific capacities, as well as their proven and affordable technologies through public and private sectors to help other countries to attain the goal of carbon neutrality. Weaving resilience will require the establishment of localized resource hubs across the global south with the expertise and tools needed to build and sustain strategies that involve cooperation and collaboration between various stakeholders in different regions. To be truly effective, innovative technologies and knowledge sharing across boundaries, local, national, and global. For community resilience to be a reality for all, including at the last mile level, we need to do what one of India's central ministers recently described as unleashing the tenacity of technology, the audacity of governance, and the resilience of society. This means we need to take large-scale construction of infrastructure to make these technologies, especially in areas like advanced batteries, hydrogen electrolyzers, direct air capture and storage. But in doing all this, governments need to ensure that their clean energy transitions are people-centered and inclusive. Most importantly, we will need to be cognizant of the financing needs of the most vulnerable countries to meet their energy reduction targets. Public financial institutions need to bring new services and products, new strategies to ease the shortage of equity, green financing, and long-term loans. At a recent meeting of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors in Washington, the issue of mobilization of resources was discussed. But they talked mainly of catalyzing private finance flows for sustainable development goals and scaling up and encouraging wider adoption of social impact investments. Not enough attention was paid to the question of mobilizing public funds by governments for this purpose. Our working group has had several roundtable conferences to discuss renewable energy transitions, decarbonizing infrastructure, and green finance. You have discussed critical gaps in policy entry points to strengthen sustainable and resilient communities. You have stressed the need for involving young entrepreneurs and of ensuring gender equality. Your interactions have involved academics, thought leaders, and policymakers. India's own long-term low-emission development strategy was presented at Sharm el-Sheikh, and it reflects our future path to sustainable, resilient infrastructure to be undertaken in a just, smooth, sustainable, and all-inclusive manner. As you unleash a learning revolution for sustainability, shaping resilient trade and supply chains, and institutionalizing best practices or udaharans, I hope that this will be part of the recommendations you, as the working group, present for the G20 to adopt later this year. All my very best greetings and good wishes to this conclave. Thank you.
Insightful introduction to the C20 India 2023. With great honor, I now invite Dr. Manisha Vinodini Ramesh to the podium. Dr. Manisha is the provost of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. She holds multiple portfolios such as strategic initiatives, research and innovation, interdisciplinary and AI plus X. She is the Dean of International Programs and School for Sustainable Development and the Director and Professor at Amrita Center for Wireless Networks and Applications. Her research work was instrumental in deploying the first ever wireless sensor network system capable of issuing landslide warnings. Dr. Manisha has years of experience as a researcher and scientist in applying technology to solve pressing problems of today's society. I cordially invite you, ma'am, to deliver an introduction to the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Working Group and overview of the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Conclave.
Pranams at Amma's lotus feet. Pranams at Woman Lord. Good morning to one and all. My humble pranams to Sri Kunkan, Honorable Minister, Land, Revenue and Disaster Management, Government of Sikkim. Honorable Minister of Power, Sri M. Sherpa. His Excellency, Miss Joyce Kukurimasi Chukufunda, High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda. His Excellency Mustafa Jawara, Ambassador of Gambia. Ambassador Vijay Nandia, Principal Coordinator C20. Swami Amrita Survanandapuri, Troika Member C20 and Vice Chairman of the Mata Anudanapuri Imat. Sri Anil Raj, Secretary, Land, Revenue and Disaster Management, Government of Sikkim, Professor Vinod Menon, C20 Working Group Coordinator, and all distinguished guests who are gathered here. A warm welcome to the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Conclave organized by C20 India 2023 Working Group Sustainable and Resilient Communities with major focus on climate, environment and net zero targets. As we have gathered here in the light of India's G20 presidency this year, it gives me immense happiness to address this august gathering. The C20 India 2023 remains committed to advocate evidence-based policy recommendations and strive towards the realization of the Indian C20 motto, "You are the light." The world-renowned humanitarian and spiritual leader, Sri Mata Amrita, Amma, C20 chair and the founder of Mata Amrita, echoes these principles through a plethora of humanitarian initiatives that has transformed the lives of millions around the world through compassion, love, and light. The Sustainable and Resilient Communities, Climate, Environment and Net Zero Targets Working Group is one of the 14 groups under C20 and is focused on the areas of climate, environment, and net zero targets. The guiding vision of the working group is based on Amma's prayer. Everyone in the world should sleep without fear at least for one night. Everyone in the world should eat to their fill at least for one day. There should be one day where there is no violence, no one is injured, no one is harmed. All people, young and old, should serve the poor and needy at least for one day. Serve selflessly. This is Amma's dream and this is Amma's prayer. And let us hope that through all our effort, by getting the guidance of Amma, holding our hands together, at least this small dream be realized. It is this prayer that led to the multitude of initiatives that Amma has brought out in the area of climate adaptation, disaster risk reduction and resilience, food security, ecosystem restoration, climate justice and social justice, and compassion-driven action, which includes a vast array of initiatives. The key thematic areas of the working group are climate resilience and social justice, environmental sustainability, net zero emission management, compassion-driven approaches to sustainable and resilient communities. From the day we started this C20 working group, we have been working very closely with several CSOs, with more than 800 CSOs from 54 countries have registered with this working group. Over 50 plus events has been conducted to have network, bring out the discussions and deliberations to devise policy dialogues in the areas of compassion-driven approaches, net zero emission management, building resilience in a changing climate, sustainable technologies and mitigating emissions in agriculture, sustainable agricultural practices, biodiversity conservation, circular economy policies, and not only that, to the grassroots level, we have conducted compassion-driven child parks with more than 1,000 plus villagers participating in more than 25 plus villages where they are looking into it. what are the gaps in their communities, what are the challenges, where the policies are not reaching, what are the strategies they want, what are the strategies they felt as the best practices. So from the grassroots level, from the civil society's needs, has been we are trying to bring it up so that we can deliberate and come up with the real policy recommendations which can be given to the C20 Secretary. Not only that, we know that India is very diverse and multicultural. The whole world, there is also several countries have a lot of indigenous communities already practicing sustainable and resilient approaches. How do we bring out to the limelight? So we have also conducted a program where we try to collect the udaharans, which means the best practices from these communities through CSOs. Over 100 plus best practices has been collected from 20 plus countries, and this of which the first set of which has come to the first stage will be actually showcased in this event also, so that we will develop scalable practices and procedures from these which can be adopted by multiple countries. Let me now move on to describe a little bit about this conclave. All this work which I have told was the pre-work which we have done, which has led us to come to the conclave, the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Conclave. This conclave has been the result of, as I said, all the events and deliberations which has been done over these years, and it comes from the experience from all the CSOs who have participated. And today, the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Conclave has brought in nearly 200 participants from 22 countries. This spanning 2 days on 29th and 30th of April. This conclave has several plenary and sessions, and each plenary have two parallel sessions which is going on. The key plenary sessions are in the areas of climate resilience, climate finance and social justice, environmental sustainability and biodiversity conservation, food security and livelihood protection, net zero electricity, transport and industry, sustainable lifestyle, agriculture, environment and partnership, compassion as the driving force for sustainable and resilient communities, compassion-driven education and youth empowerment. We have also brought in round tables to shape the conversations across the following areas: science and technologies for sustainable and resilient communities, policy, governance and sustainable finance for sustainable and resilient communities, spiritual love, a compassionate approach as driving forces for sustainable and resilient communities, sustainable and resilient practices prevalent in indigenous communities. In these 2 full days, we are also parallelly conducting training sessions on sustainable development, disaster resilience and energy literacy, of which another 100 participants will be joining in the training sessions, which is a level 1 training session conducted by the UNESCO Chair on Experiential Learning for Sustainable Innovation and Development. And in future, there will be level 2 and level 3. Thus, we are also looking through, as part of this working group, how we can empower the communities to take forward and they become empowered to build sustainable communities. Amma earlier has told us that in our approach to sustainable development, we should not forget that it is by strengthening the people at the base of the pyramid that the entire edifice of society becomes healthy and strong. As you all know that India has a large population, a young population. In this regard, Amma has actually, while delivering the keynote address in the UN, during the United Nations Conference on Technology and Sustainable Development in New York, Amma said that Amma has one wish. All universities should send their students to impoverished rural villages or city slums for at least 1 or 2 months during their education. They would be able to see directly the issues and problems that the poor face. They could then develop solutions, and this would help us to help the poor in the most effective way and at the same time awaken compassion in today's youth. This approach has been adopted at Amrita Vidyapeetham, and UNESCO has acknowledged this work and also has taken up as a major initiative to do it as a wider adoption under the UNESCO chair. So there is a larger work which is happening, bringing a global curriculum where compassion becomes the base and thus bringing sustainable and resilient communities. This conclave, we hope that CSOs will also contribute in building this curriculum for the global scenario. The base of all these initiatives is well mentioned in Amma's own words, where Amma says, "For me, compassion is the most important factor in our lives. It is the first step. If we take this first step courageously, without fear, then all of our decisions and subsequent actions and their results will have a special beauty, spontaneity, and power. Human calculations may be wrong, but actions born of true compassion can never be wrong because compassion is the law of nature, the power of God, the heart of creation. If we tune the individual mind with compassion, then we as individuals are no longer really performing actions, but are merely allowing creation to act through us. And this is the power of compassion. I pray to Amma that make all of us join together to derive love and compassion and thus light the world. Let us hope that this conclave also help us to put forward at least one step towards this. And I welcome each one of you, and I'm also thanking each one of you who have joined here, and hope we will have a very detailed and in-depth deliberations to bring out the policy briefs and recommendations which we can pass on to C20 chair. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your informative introduction about the working group and the conclave. Next, we would like to present a video message from Amma, the chair of C20 Sadhguru Mata Amrita Devi, about the underlying vision about the C20 working group on sustainable and resilient communities.
എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. ഇതൊരു ശുഭമുഹൂർത്തമാണ്. ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ മങ്ങന തേജസ് വീണ്ടെടുക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു ശ്രമത്തിന് നമ്മൾ തുടക്കം കുറിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നു. G20 അധ്യക്ഷത ഭാരതത്തിന് ലഭിച്ച ചരിത്രപ്രധാനമായ അവസരമാണിത്. G20 ഭാഗമായ C20 പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ വിജയകരമാക്കുക എന്ന വലിയ ഉത്തരവാദിത്തമാണ് ഭാരത സർക്കാരും പ്രധാനമന്ത്രി ശ്രീ നരേന്ദ്രമോദിയും നമ്മളെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ സംരംഭത്തോട് അങ്ങേയറ്റം നീതി പുലർത്താൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയട്ടെ. ഭാരത സർക്കാരിനോടും പ്രധാനമന്ത്രിയോടും ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ അകമഴിഞ്ഞ കൃതജ്ഞത രേഖപ്പെടുത്തുന്നു. പ്രവർത്തന മേഖലകളിൽ അവർ നേരിടുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ പരിഹരിക്കുക, ജനങ്ങളുടെ ഹിതമറിയുക, വിവിധ പ്രവർത്തന മേഖലകളിൽ അവർ നേരിടുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ പഠിക്കുക, അവ ഭാരത സർക്കാരിൻ്റെയും G20 രാഷ്ട്രങ്ങളുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിൽപ്പെടുത്തുക, പരിഹാരങ്ങൾ നിർദ്ദേശിക്കുക. അതാണ് C20 പ്രധാന ധർമ്മം. എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട് എന്നാൽ ഒന്നുമില്ല എന്നതാണ് മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ഇന്നത്തെ അവസ്ഥ. ഒരു കാര്യം വളരെ വ്യക്തമാണ്, മനുഷ്യൻ പ്രകൃതിയുമായി അകലും തോറും അവൻ്റെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ വർദ്ധിക്കും. ഈശ്വരൻ്റെ മുഖമാണ് പ്രകൃതി. പ്രകൃതി മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ അജ്ഞാനവർത്തിയാണ്, അത് നിർജ്ജീവമാണ്, അതുകൊണ്ട് എന്ത് വേണമെങ്കിലും ആകാം എന്നൊക്കെയുള്ള മിഥ്യാധാരണ മനുഷ്യർക്കുണ്ട്. പ്രകൃതി ഒരു ശരീരമാണ്, അത് ഏകമാണ്. ഒരു ശരീരത്തിലെ അവയവങ്ങളെല്ലാം അഭേദ്യമായിരിക്കുന്നത് പോലെ പ്രകൃതിയിലെ ജീവനുള്ളതും ഇല്ലാത്തതുമായ സകലതും അന്യോന്യം ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. അവയെല്ലാം പ്രകൃതിയുടെ അവയവങ്ങളാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് പ്രകൃതി സംരക്ഷണവും പരിപാലനവും മാറ്റി നിർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് സുസ്ഥിര വികസനം സാധ്യമല്ല. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു വികസനം പ്രായോഗികമാക്കാൻ കുറെ നടത്തിയതുകൊണ്ടോ നിയമനിർമ്മാണം നടത്തിയതുകൊണ്ടോ മാത്രം സാധിക്കില്ല. അതിന് മനുഷ്യന്റെ മനോഭാവം മാറണം. മനസ്ഥിതി മാറ്റിയാൽ പരിസ്ഥിതി നമുക്ക് മാറ്റിയെടുക്കാം. ഭൂമിയും ജലവും അഗ്നിയും വായുവും ആകാശവും ഇല്ലാതെ മനുഷ്യനെ എങ്ങനെ ജീവിക്കും? ഈ 5 ഘടകങ്ങളാണ് മനുഷ്യ ശരീരത്തിന് അടിത്തറ. അവ പ്രകൃതി നമ്മുടെ അകത്തും പുറത്തുമുണ്ട്. നമ്മളെല്ലാം ഭൂമിയിൽ ജീവിക്കുമ്പോൾ സഹജീവികളെയും പ്രകൃതിയെയും അവഗണിക്കുന്നു. സ്വന്തം സ്വാർത്ഥ താല്പര്യങ്ങളും അത്യാഗ്രഹങ്ങളും സബലീകരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി മാത്രം പ്രയത്നിക്കുന്നു. അതേസമയം സ്വർഗം തരണേ എന്ന് ഈശ്വരോട് പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യും. ഇതെന്തൊരു വിരോധാഭാസമാണ്. കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ സാധിക്കും. അമ്മ ജനങ്ങളുടെ തലം മനസ്സിലാക്കി പോകണമെന്ന് പറയാൻ കാരണം 108 ഗ്രാമങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ദത്തെടുത്ത് എന്നിട്ട് ഓരോ ഗ്രാമങ്ങളിലും മക്കൾ പോയപ്പം ഒരു ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ ചെന്നപ്പോൾ അവർ ആത്മഹത്യ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ആ ഗ്രാമം. എന്ത് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ അവർ കൃഷിയെല്ലാം നഷ്ടം വന്നു, പലിശയ്ക്കെടുത്ത്, പലിശയുടെ പൈസ കൊടുക്കാനില്ല, മാത്രമേ മുന്നിലുള്ളൂ. 5 വർഷം നഷ്ടത്തിലായിരുന്നു. നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾ അവിടെ നിന്നിട്ട് അവരവിടെ നിന്നാണ് വളം മേടിക്കുന്നത്. അവർ നോക്കിയപ്പോൾ അവർ വലിയ വില കൊടുത്ത വളം മേടിച്ചത്. അപ്പം അവരെ പറ്റിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ അത് ശരിക്കുള്ള വില കൊടുത്ത് മേടിച്ച് അതെല്ലാം കൊടുത്ത് ചെയ്യിച്ച് കൃഷി വന്നപ്പോൾ അതിൽ നിന്ന് നല്ലവണ്ണം വിളവുണ്ടായി. അപ്പോൾ ഈ 5 വർഷത്തെ കടവ് അവർക്ക് തീർക്കാൻ സാധിച്ച് ആ വർഷത്തേക്കുള്ള ചെലവിനും കിട്ടി. എന്നിട്ട് ആ ഭക്തരെ അതിന് ആൾക്കാർ അരി നെല്ലും കൊണ്ട് അമ്മ എടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് തിരിച്ചുണ്ട് ശരീരവും മാനസികമായിട്ട് അവർ ഉയർത്താൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ അവയർനെസ് നമ്മൾ കൊടുക്കണം. ആശ്രമത്തിൻ്റെ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളിൽ തന്നെ 1.5 ലക്ഷം കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾ കൂടുതൽ പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അവരുടെയും തലങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. കുറച്ച് 100 കണക്കിന് സംഭവങ്ങൾ ഈ ഒരു വർഷം കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മൾ ഏത് സ്ഥലത്ത് പോയാലും ആദ്യം ചോദിക്കാൻ ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് കിട്ടുമോ എന്നാണ്. ആ സ്ഥലത്ത് ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് കിട്ടുമോ, ആ വീട്ടിൽ പോയി ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് കിട്ടുമോ, അല്ല ഹോട്ടലിൽ ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് കിട്ടുമോ, സൗകര്യം കിട്ടിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തോ ഒരു ഉറക്കമില്ലാതെ കരക്കിടക്കുന്ന മത്സ്യം വരെ പടയ്ക്കുന്നതാണ്. ആധ്യാത്മം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇന്റർനെറ്റാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ കണക്ഷൻ ശരിയായാൽ ഏത് സാഹചര്യത്തിലും ഈ ഒരു വെപ്രാളവും ടെൻഷൻ ഉണ്ടാകത്തില്ല. ചില സാഹചര്യത്തെ അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനും അതോടൊപ്പം മറ്റുള്ളവരുടെ കാര്യം കാണിക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയും. അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ ആത്മീയത എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ തന്നെ ആളുടെ വേസ്റ്റ് ഇടുന്നെടുത്ത് മണ്ണെടുത്ത് നോക്കി മൊത്തം പോയിസമായിരുന്നു. അവിടെ വൃക്ഷം നട്ട് വളർത്തി. അതൊരു 3 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ആ മണ്ണെടുത്ത് റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ വിഷമേ ഇല്ല. വേരെത്ര വിഷം പിടിച്ചെടുത്തു. ഇലകൾ നമ്മൾ കാർബണൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് നമുക്ക് നല്ല ശുദ്ധവായു തരുന്നു. വൃക്ഷത്തിൽ ഈശ്വരനെപ്പോലെ ആരാധിച്ചിരുന്ന പഴയ ആൾക്കാർ. നമ്മളൊക്കെ ഒരു വൃക്ഷം വെട്ടുമ്പം പൂജിച്ച് മാപ്പ് ചോദിച്ചിട്ട് വെട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അങ്ങനെ ഓരോ ജീവജാലങ്ങളെയും അന്ന് നമ്മൾ ആരാധിച്ചത് തന്നിനുള്ള നന്ദി കാണിച്ചതാണ്. അപ്പം നമ്മളതൊരു പ്രാകൃതമല്ലാത്ത പ്രായോഗികമായിരുന്നു. അവിടത്തേക്ക് നമ്മൾ തിരിച്ച് കുറച്ചെങ്കിലും പോയേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. പണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ എൻ്റെ കുഞ്ഞിൽ 60 വർഷം മുമ്പ് കൈക്കൊരു മുറിവെല്ലാം മാറ്റാൻ നമ്മൾ ചാണകം എടുത്ത് വെച്ച് മുറിവ് പൊറുക്കും. ഇന്നത്തെ പശുക്കളുടെ ചാണകം തട്ടിയ സെപ്റ്റിക്കാവും. അന്ന് ഔഷധമായ ചാണകം ഇന്ന് പോയിസമായി. എന്താണ്? പണ്ട് പശുക്ക് പ്രകൃതിമായ ഭക്ഷണം കൊടുത്താണ് ഇങ്ങനെ. അന്ന് ഈ വിഷവളമൊന്നും നെല്ല് ചേർക്കില്ല. ഇപ്പം വിഷവളം ചേർത്ത കച്ചിയാണ് പശു തിന്നുന്നത്. പിന്നെ എല്ലുപൊടി, കെമിക്കൽ ചേർത്ത എല്ലുപൊടി അങ്ങ് തിന്നുന്നു. അപ്പം അതിൽ നിന്നുണ്ടാകുന്ന പാലിനും അത്ര കണ്ട് ഗുണമില്ല. അത് നമുക്ക് വിശപ്പടക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു. പക്ഷെ നമ്മുടെ ഇമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി പോഷകാംശം കുറഞ്ഞു. കൂടുതൽ പാല് കിട്ടി, അത്രയും അസുഖം കിട്ടി. സയൻസ് 5% വിഷവളം ചേർക്കാൻ പറഞ്ഞെങ്കിൽ അത് 25% വിഷവളം ചേർക്കാൻ ലാഭത്തിന് വേണ്ടി. അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാവരും ഒരേപോലെ നല്ലതായിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. മനസ്സും ശരീരവും എല്ലാം നല്ലതാകുന്നു. വേണ്ടെന്ന് പറയുന്നില്ല, അത് നല്ലൊരു ക്രമീകരണങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ടാണ്. ആവശ്യങ്ങളുടെ പുറകെ പോയാൽ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഭൂമിയിൽ തന്നെ സ്വർഗമാക്കാം. ഒരു പൂത്തലിൽ നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരു പൂന്തോട്ടം ഓർക്കുക. അതിൽ കുറേ കുട്ടികൾ ഓടിച്ചാടി കളിക്കുന്നു. അതിൽ പൂമ്പാറ്റകൾ ഇങ്ങനെ തേൻ കുടിച്ചും അത് മറന്നും കളിക്കും. ഇങ്ങനെയൊരു ലോകം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിച്ചു പോവാണ്. പൂമ്പാറ്റകളെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എല്ലാ ജനങ്ങളും ആഹ്ലാദിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും അവർക്ക് അവകാശപ്പെട്ട് കിട്ടും. ഇവരുണ്ടാക്കുന്നെല്ലാം കൊടുക്കണമെന്ന് പറയും. എന്തെങ്കിലും കുറച്ചെങ്കിലും അങ്ങോട്ട് ചാർന്നാൽ ഒരു ദീപായി നമ്മൾ മാറില്ല. ഇപ്പം ദീപായി കൊണ്ടുപോവാണ്. ഒരു സിംഗിളുടെ കണ്ണി ആയിത്തീരും. നമുക്കെല്ലാം ഒരേ മനസ്സോടെ ഒരേ ലക്ഷ്യത്തോടെ ലോക നന്മയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടി നിസ്വാർത്ഥമായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയട്ടെ. നമ്മളെ പിന്തുടർന്ന് വരുന്നവർക്ക് നമ്മുടെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ശ്രേഷ്ഠമായ ഒരു മാതൃകയായി തീരട്ടെ. നമ്മുടെ ജീവിത വൃക്ഷം സ്നേഹമാകുന്ന മണ്ണിൽ ഉറച്ചു നിൽക്കട്ടെ. സക്രമങ്ങളാകട്ടെ അതിലെ ഇലകൾ, അനുകമ്പാപൂർണമായ വാക്കാകട്ടെ അതിലെ പുഷ്പങ്ങൾ, ശാന്തിയാകട്ടെ അതിലെ ഫലങ്ങൾ. സ്നേഹത്തിൽ ഒന്നായി തീർന്ന ഒരു കുടുംബമായി ലോകം വളർന്ന് വികസിക്കട്ടെ. വസുദൈവ കുടുംബകം എന്ന ഈ വാക്ക് പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കി എല്ലാവരും ഉണർന്ന് ഫലവത്താക്കാനും നമുക്ക് കഴിയട്ടെ. അങ്ങനെ ശാന്തിയും സമാധാനവും കളിയാടുന്നൊരു ലോകം നമുക്കെല്ലാം സായത്തമാകട്ടെ. ഈ കൃപ നമ്മളെ എല്ലാം അനുഗ്രഹിക്കട്ടെ. നമസ്കാരം.
Can we please have a big round of applause for Amma? I hope people will inspire Amma's vision and actions to make the world a better place to live for the future generations and for the people of the world. With great pleasure, I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Joyce Kakura-Matsiki Kafunda. She is a Ugandan diplomat and academic who has served as High Commissioner of Uganda to the United Kingdom since 2013. A professor of agriculture and food science at Makerere University, she has been involved with projects to eradicate poverty and reduce childhood malnutrition. She was also a member of the Board of Trustees of the International Rice Research Institute from 2010 to 15. Ma'am, you are cordially invited to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that introduction. Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Disaster Management of Sikkim Government and all Honorable Ministers present here, Chairperson of C20, our much loved Amma, and all members of C20, ambassadors here present, all distinguished members on the dais, distinguished members in the audience, in your various capacities, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Namaste. I bring you greetings from New Delhi, where our embassy is located. I wish to thank very much the organizers of this conclave for the kind invitation. I feel humbled and honored to be invited, and I feel very happy to be here among you in this beautiful part of India. I've been in India for only 8 months. I was coming from Australia, from London, which she talked of. I spent 4 years in Australia. So from Australia, I came to India, and I've been here 8 months. And I've traveled only to the south. So this is my first time to the north, and I have loved it, I've appreciated it. It is as beautiful as Uganda, with hills and green grass. I did not come alone. I came with my deputy, Ambassador Margaret Shodire. Stand up for recognition. kind, they didn't give me a specific topic. So when I saw the program, with 10 minutes to present, so in the interest of time, I picked 2 issues to talk about in that time. I'm not sure I'll make the 10 minutes, but I'll try my best. I'll talk first briefly on the relationship between Uganda and India, and then I'll talk about an issue that is close, that is part of the topics of the conclave, and that is environment. I felt I needed to talk about Uganda because some people may not know about Uganda. Uganda is popularly known as the pearl of Africa, and that is because it is one of the most beautiful countries, not only in Africa but in the world. And I'm not saying that because I'm from there. You need to go there and see for yourself. It is embedded in the heart of East Africa. I will not go more into that because of time. It is a small country but very powerful. The relationship between Uganda and India span over centuries, and it is getting stronger and stronger. Our president, His Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has made several official visits to India. And in 2018, he invited the Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Shri Modi, and he visited Uganda. And he was given a singular honor to address the whole of Africa in Uganda's parliament. That was the first time it was done. And during his address, he assured the whole of Africa of India's support. And he said, India's support has no strings attached. India will support Africa according to the country's needs, but not because they need this, they need that, but because of the needs of the country, which we find very, very good. Just 2 weeks ago, the Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, visited Uganda. Myself and my deputy went with him, and he went to open the National Forensic Sciences University of India, Uganda chapter in Uganda, in Jinja, Kampala, Uganda. And that is the first time India has opened a branch of its university outside India. India has opened the first time India has opened a branch of its university outside India. And this is very, very important because Africa as a whole will benefit from this very, very important. Forensic science has so many branches, and it selected Uganda to be the hub for that. So with these excellent relations with Uganda in particular and Africa in general, we believe that India's chairmanship of the G20, we believe that India will be the voice of the global South. We believe that India will bring the problems of the developing world to the agenda, because India knows these problems. Although India now is a superpower, it is not too long ago when it was also where some of us are. So it knows what we are going through. Some other countries may not know. And India has promised that during the presidency of the G20, they will bring these problems to the agenda, and we believe that they will do it, and this conclave of the C20 will definitely be a channel. This brings me to the second point that I talked of, and this one is on environment and health. And this one is, I wanted to bring to your attention that in sub-Saharan Africa, over 75% of the rural communities and the poor, urban poor, use wood fuel and charcoal for cooking. Almost 80%. And you can imagine what that is doing to the environment. The same environment we are trying to protect. We are struggling to get net zero, and here we are cutting trees, we are cutting shrubs. Because food, eating is a fundamental human right. No one can go without eating. And these communities in the rural, they are poor. They cannot do without cooking, without eating. So, what is C20 going to do about it? What is India? How is India with its population? How is it handling it? How are the people, these are poor people, going to be empowered to use cleaner sources of energy? Whenever this topic comes up, I say, what about solar? In Africa, the sun, and even in India, the sun is up 12 months a year. I'm always told solar is expensive. I don't know why. Somebody needs to explain to me why solar is expensive. We have hydro, it's biogas, but people will cut every tree, and when they cut, they don't plant. So where will this end? And it's not only environment that is affected, it's also health. This cooking with wood, this smoke that is generated, some research compared it with smoking 2 packets of cigarettes every day. And yet, smoking has been banned. Smoking is not allowed in aeroplanes, in offices. And yet, in rural communities, they are smoking. Whoever has never seen these smoking kitchens cannot understand. For me, I understand. And these are women and girl children. The men, at least the African men, don't go in these kitchens. They are sitting outside waiting for the food. The women and the girl children, especially the children who don't go to school. I remember myself, whenever I got home, I would enter the kitchen and run out because I wouldn't stand the smoke. But because I'm privileged, I was privileged to go to school. Those who don't go to school stay in those kitchens all their lives. Think of their lungs, think of their eyes. So this is a case that the C20, you pick it up and by extension, take it to the G20 so that something can be done, because it can't remain like that. Madam Chair, as I conclude, I found out as I was reading that this month of April 2023, the population of India and the population of Africa is exactly the same, 1.4 billion people. The population of India and the population of Africa. But what is noteworthy is that by 2050, the population of India will be 1.7 people. It will have grown only by 0.3 of a billion, which means you are planning, you are really doing it well. But listen to this, the population of Africa will have almost doubled. It will be 2.5 billion by 2050. So what will that do to the environment, to the food, to the ecosystem? So all this, we have to think about it. We may not be around that time, but what about our children? So I wish I saw fruitful deliberations during this conclave, and I thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your encouraging speech and throwing light on the relationship between Uganda and India. What an insightful speech, madam. Next, I would like to humbly welcome Swami Amrita Swarupanandapuri to the podium. Swamiji is the Vice President of Mata Amrit Anandmay Math and President of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. He is the head disciple of Amma. He holds a Master's in Philosophy and is a renowned author. He serves as a Troika member in C20 India 2023. I extend a warm welcome to you and look forward to your felicitation address.
I humbly bow down at Amma's sacred water feet. My namaskaram, love and greetings to Honorable Minister Sri Kungani Balrancha, Honorable Minister Amma Sharma, His Excellency Ms. Joyce Kakramasi Chikapunda, His Excellency Mustafa Jawad, Sri Anil Raj Roy, Ambassador Vijay Nambiarji, Professor Vinod Meena, Dr. Manisha V. Sudhir, and other dignitaries, delegates, and participants gathered here. I am neither a scientist nor an expert or professional. Hence, allow me to share certain things from a spiritual perspective, which no one else may share here in this forum. There is a story about Winston Churchill. He was a powerful orator. Once a group of reporters asked him, "Sir, you speak to thousands of people. Don't you feel a little scared and tense when you see the large sea of people sitting in front of you? Some of them will be criticizing you. Some of them will be staring at you, and some will be judging you. Doesn't this evoke some fear of judgment and stage fright?" It is said that Winston Churchill answered the question like this: "Why should I feel tense or afraid? Once I am at the podium, I glance at the entire audience and tell myself, convince myself, so many fools." Now allow me to share another scenario. Once a reporter asked Amma, Srimata Amrita Devi, "Amma, you travel all over the world, you don't speak any other language other than your mother tongue. Almost all the people you meet and embrace are strangers to you, and for them also you are unfamiliar, so to speak. Thousands of them come to be in your arms. However, as I observe you, I think neither are you a stranger to them, nor do they see you a stranger. How do you do this? What is the secret?" And Amma said, "Because I only see me in everyone. Everyone is just an extension of my own self, therefore there is no other." For me, there is only love. Love alone exists. Certainly you understand the difference between Winston Churchill's statement and Amma's. The former is an example. He represents the entire humanity, I would say. We see each other as others, as fools, as stupids, and we don't care. And for Churchill, or for any one of us for that matter, the ego, is most important. Our emphasis is on the ego, on the body, on the diversity, on differences. I am is the only focal point, and everyone else doesn't exist. But for a person such as Amma, there is no difference between you and I. We are one. Oneness alone. God alone exists. And the emphasis is on oneness, not on diversity. We live in an age where the modern youth scoff at religious traditions and the way our forefathers lived in harmony with nature. They brand the ancient ways of worshipping nature as primitive and uncivilized. However, now humanity is slowly beginning to understand there is truth in the words of the seers, our ancients. Hence, we see some small degree of effort to practice their advice. What did our forefathers do differently? Amma says, they beautifully blended love and reverence for nature, while accepting, respecting, and approaching the visible world of diversity with a worshipful attitude. They also laid their faith in the one and only limitless power behind the many names and forms. And this is exactly what we lack in our approach. Of course, now we are taking climate change, sustainable development, and resilience seriously nevertheless. Are we doing it with a loving and reverential attitude, or is it just an intellectual exercise? Amma says, if there is a reason for our efforts for sustainable and resilient communities fail to produce the expected result, it is due to our lack of a loving respect towards nature. That's most important. Remember, climate change isn't something that suddenly manifested. It has been happening for centuries. It is like gaining weight. Every day it was happening. And one day the weighing scale goes bang from the lowest to the highest. And while you scream, I'm fat. But it has been happening in bits and pieces. So even though the Earth's climate has changed throughout history, the current warming is happening at a rate not seen in the past 10,000 years. As we all know, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, since systematic scientific assessments began in 1970s, the influence of human activity on the warming of the climate system has evolved from the theory to established fact. From the rise of global temperature, the ocean is getting warmer, the ice sheets are shrinking, to the increase in the frequency of extreme events, and the increase in ocean acidification. The evidence of a warming planet abounds. In short, the scientific information acquired from natural resources such as ice, coarse rocks, and tree rings, and from modern equipments such as satellites and instruments, all show signs of a changing climate. And Her Excellency, the ambassador from Uganda, mentioned about 2050. But we don't know whether we will exist until that. According to the scientists, they have changed everything. I mean, their calculations are changing. They say that it may, the human species may not exist for another 50 years. Our NGO headquarters, our ashram is situated between the Arabian Sea and the Kerala backwaters. When I first arrived in 1979, the weather was so pleasant. Even during summer, we didn't feel any heat. Rather, the cool ocean breeze always made the atmosphere enjoyable. In contrast, now, even 32 degrees Celsius feel like 40 or 42. My own personal experience. And the natural sea breeze that used to blow constantly has tremendously slowed down. The change in climate is so tangible. So climate change cannot be ruled out as a myth, as some people used to believe. So my request to the scientific and technological community is to put efforts into creating a synthesis of science and spirituality. As Amma says, science and spirituality should harmoniously work like the two wings of a bird. We shouldn't be suspicious and reluctant to experiment with the spiritual recommendations offered to us by ancient seers, especially when almost all their concerns about future humanity are coming true. There is no harm in trying their recommendations, right? Scientists say that climate change is directly linked to a higher risk pandemics, as rising temperature enable mosquitoes, ticks, and other disease-carrying insects to proliferate, adapt to different seasons, and invade new territories. For example, flooding due to extreme weather creates new breeding grounds for mosquitoes, making the spread of dengue fever more likely. Melting permafrost can release pathogens from animal carcasses, like the anthrax outbreak in the Yamal Peninsula, Siberia in 2016. Safeguarding the borders. Every country is worried about their borders. Every country is amassing arms and ammunition. So it is important. Safeguarding the borders and assuring security and protection for its people is certainly one of the prime duties of every country. Alongside, there is also a need to go beyond the divisions and differences and see the world from the perspective of the oneness principle, especially with the fatal changes both seen and unseen. Hence, the significance of practicing India's G20 slogan, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, has greater relevance. The entire slogan, the verse, the entire Sanskrit verse taken from Maha Upanishad, a part of the Samaveda, is like this.
Secretaries of state government, principal secretaries, heads of departments, all dignitaries coming from 28 countries, heads of department, and all government officials who are present here today. C20 Conclave on sustainable and resilient communities, climate, environment, and net zero targets is organized by Amrita University in collaboration with the government of Sikkim. I would like to go a little bit about this conclave. Sustainable and resilient communities are communities that are able to meet their present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, while also being able to adapt and recover from various environmental, social, and economic challenges. Sustainability refers to the ability to maintain ecological balance and prevent depletion of natural resources, while resilience refers to the ability to withstand and recover from shocks and stresses. Both are critical for building communities that are able to thrive in the long term. The theme of the conclave resonates with the government's policy on sustainability resilience. Post-2013, the state government, directed by the Honorable Chief Minister, has come up with the various measures for following. Number one, environmental sustainability. This includes practices that reduce waste, conserve natural resources, and protect ecosystem. Two, social sustainability. This involves creating inclusive communities that prioritize equity, diversity, and social justice. Third, economic sustainability. This involves developing local economies that are resilient and able to provide stable employment and income opportunities. 4. Infrastructure and technology. This includes investing in renewable sources, renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and other forms of infrastructure that promote sustainability and resilience. Number 5. Emergency preparedness. This involves developing plans and strategies to respond to natural disaster, pandemics, and other crises. I am also happy to inform you that due to the proactive nature of the government of Sikkim, Sikkim has topped in all the parameters for the Sustainable Development Goals for 2021 in Northeastern region. These are just some of the many initiatives that is being implemented successfully in the state. I am also aware that many organizations are partnering with SSDMA to help states' efforts in mitigating many challenges. On behalf of the government, I welcome your initiative and ideas in stepping our effort. This is reporting brief on what the state government is doing. Today, we are talking in terms of self-reliance, we are talking in terms of preservation of culture, preservation of environment, preservation of protection of the forests. So basically, these objectives or the objectives of what we can achieve only if all of us, not individuals, we as a whole, join our hands together to see to it that, not for ourselves, but for our future generations who are eagerly awaiting, to see what we are, in what way we are going to secure their future. Vasudeva Kutumbakam is the theme of G20 as well as C20. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, and one future. We have to work to the extent that this objective is achieved by us. And this can be then done by working in isolation. Of course, we know that we are living in a diverse situation, language-wise, our culture-wise. In everything, we are living in diversity. But forgetting all these diversities, all of us will have to get over to see to it that we create one world in which entire citizens of the world become one citizen, citizen of the world, citizen of the universe, and one world where we work together to see to it that as Amma has pointed out, all the mouths have to be fed. We have to see to it that no one goes hungry. Today we are working, keeping in mind only our own selfish interest. For the time being, we have to forget our selfish interest. There's a thing in terms of the people who's down the street without going hungry. As a human being, we have to imbibe this quality of human being in ourselves so that we can also work for these poor people. We can work for conservation of forests, we can work for preservation of our culture. I mean, as far as Sikkim is concerned, Sikkim is just a small state in the Indian Union with a population of just about 7 lakhs and an area of 7,900 square kilometers. We are blessed by Guru indeed. It's a very beautiful state, rich in biodiversity, and the only state, I would rather say not only in our Indian Union, but entire world, the only place where organic farming has been done. And also, but despite all these things, we also have lots of inherent difficulties being a small state, particularly being in the Himalayan, situated in the Himalayan region. We are subjected to various man-made as well as natural calamities. Every year, we lose a big chunk of land mass due to landslides and stuff. Now, how can we contain it? How can we protect all this state? Not only Sikkim people as a whole, but entire world, where Sikkim has been made the pioneer for disaster management. So that way we are leading. But to help us in protecting our small state of Indian Union, I would like to request everybody, I mean, delegates who have come from all over the world, 32 countries, 200 delegates, more people coming tomorrow. All of you have to help us in protecting this beautiful environment state of Sikkim. While concluding, I would like to extend my, on behalf of the Chief Minister, on behalf of the State of Sikkim, on behalf of people of Sikkim, warm welcome to all the delegates who have come from 32 countries, and I hope you will definitely enjoy your stay in Sikkim. I would like to urge all participants from the state to take fullest advantage of this two-day conclave today and tomorrow, and widen our knowledge. We must learn that best practices from around the world in integrating the best possible way of our setting. I wish the best to the department and assure all the support from our department for the successful organization of this. As we all know, recently we have successfully organized G20 conclave also here, and the Sikkim's hospitality, Sikkim's way of organizing things was highly appreciated. I hope we will follow the same. I think we will provide the same type of organizational capacity to this two-day program. With these few words, I would like to pray for your well-being and let me stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion and for your encouraging address. Next, as a token of appreciation and gratitude, we would like to honor our dignitaries on the dais with mementos. May I request Sampuja Swami Amrita Swarupananda Puri to present small token of appreciation. First, to Sri Kunganima Lecturer, Honorable Minister Land Revenue and Disaster Management, Government of Sikkim. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I now request Dr. Manisha V. Ramesh to present memento to Her Excellency Ms. Joyce Kakuramat Seki Kafunda, High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda. Thank you. Token of appreciation is also being presented to Honorable Minister, Power Department, Shri N. Sherpa. A round of applause, please. May I now request Professor Vinod Menon to present memento to Mr. Anil Rajrai, Secretary, Land Revenue and Disaster Management Department, Government of Sikkim. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for doing the honors. Thank you all. Next, I would like to humbly invite Sri Anil Rajrai, Secretary, Land Revenue and Disaster Management, Government of Sikkim, to the podium to say a few words of thanks.
I seek the permission of the Chair to present the vote of thanks. At the very outset, I would like to thank Sri K. Lecturer, Honorable Minister for Land Revenue and Disaster Management, for chairing the inaugural session of this conclave. Further, sir, I would like to profusely thank you for interfering with the state government of Sikkim for agreeing to co-sponsor this event. So you were the driving force for us to conduct this program successfully here. Right from the day you wanted to go down to Kollam to meet Amma, which has not materialized yet, that is still you, I'd like to remind you that, sir. Next, I would like to sincerely thank Reverend Amma, the chairperson C20, India 2023, for choosing Gangtok, Sikkim, as the venue for this important conclave on sustainable and resilient communities. I am confident that, as designed by Amma, this conclave will bring out extensive dialogues and engagements with the civil society organizations, policymakers, delegates from the government and non-governmental agencies, and academicians from the G20 countries to understand existing global policies related to the identified thematic areas, identify gaps, and come up with innovative and pragmatic solutions which will be presented to the G20 during the summit in September 2023. I would like to also thank the Honourable Minister for Power, Mr. Amrita, for his kind presence. My sincere thanks to the Honourable MLA Gangtok, Honourable Deputy Mayor, Madam, Gangtok Municipal Corporation, Honourable Councillors from GMC, for their kind presence. My special thanks to all the delegates from the G20 countries, including the Honourable High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda and the Deputy Commissioner Ma'am, and also the Honourable Ambassador of Gambia for coming all the way to Sikkim to attend this G20 conclave. I would collectively again once say I will not be able to mention all the names. A collective thanks to all the delegates from India and abroad. We have delegates from 28 countries, because that is excluding our host country. It is my bounden duty to thank the dignitaries, heads of department. Thank you so much. Despite the busy schedule, all my colleagues and senior colleagues from all departments have made it to this program. Some are not absent, some are absent, not that they didn't want to come, but then they have other prior engagements. Otherwise, every HOD in the state was interested to attend this conclave. I once again reiterate, I thank the HODs for spending the valuable time to attend the inaugural session. And I hope you will remain with us in the plenary sessions too, because there will be a lot of learnings. I know very busy schedules for you, but if you can spare to be in some of the plenary sessions, I think you will learn a lot. My vote of thanks would be incomplete if I forget to thank the organizing team comprising of dedicated members from Amrita University, Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority, and other line departments. They have worked 24/7 to ensure the success of the C20 conclave. Departments like IPR, Home Department, Police Department, Urban Development Department, Gangtok Municipal Corporation, Power and PHE deserve special mention for coordinating with the organizers flawlessly. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the print and electronic media for the kind presence, for the wide coverage of the C20 program right from the day we had the press conference. Thank you one and all, and I hope you will make this C20 conclave a grand success by actively participating in all the plenary sessions as a site trainings too. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to request the dignitaries on the dais to close in for a quick photo opportunity. May I request the camera persons to please come forward. We also have selfie spots placed right here to my right and outside for those who would like to take memories from the conclave. I also request the delegates seated in the front row to kindly come up to the stage and join us for a photo session.
Yeah, I think
फॉरेस्टर्स तो होना चाहिए इसमें सर।
I'd like to inform everyone and request to please follow and check the official Facebook page of Government of Sikkim managed by the State IPR Department for all the updates, reports and videos on the two-day C20 conclave. I thank everyone for gracing the occasion with your presence. A small announcement before we break for tea. There's a field trip planned to the landslide early warning system deployed here in Gangtok, scheduled for early morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. tomorrow. Those of you who are interested in joining this trip are requested to please sign up at the registration desk at the entrance. I now request one and all to proceed for tea break. After the break, we will move on to the plenary, which consists here. The second session on climate finance and social justice will be held in the conference room outside. We shall start the breakout sessions sharp at 11:30 a.m. Request everyone to please be seated by 11:25 a.m. for the respective plenaries. We also have exhibition stalls that are set up close to the dining area. I request you to please visit the stall. Thank you.